Alright, so we've got Jet faced up now. Now, it's very important that he doesn't try to help me up, or that he just lets his head fall into my hands. Again, I've been very light with the oil. I want to have some friction here. You can see that I'm not really moving his head, he's doing it for me. I'm reminding him not to. Turn on the side. I'm just going to expose his scaling muscles here. And those nice and gently. We don't want to go too deep here because we don't want to excite the vagus nerve or go too much into his arteries here, as fun as that might be. And getting right in here, this little divot right here is pretty much our only access point into the supraspinatus, which lies underneath the clavicle here, and then inserts here and assists the deltoids in abduction of the arm. And because I've got him a little bit stretched out here, I'm going to cup, get into his trapezius here, and then I'm going to elongate that trapezius. Again, a lot of people do a lot of shrugs, and it's going to put them in this upper cross syndrome, kyphotic posture, rounded shoulders. So we want to go ahead and, okay. I don't want to like put him into a hyperextension with the neck, right? And crack him like a chiropractor. There is an artery that can get damaged if you do that, and then you need to have a stroke, and we don't want that. Again, elongating those back posterior neck muscles. Getting here into these scalings just a little bit. We're a touch dry, so. Getting that, pinning down that upper trapezius, and then elongating it here. Trying not to hyperextend the neck. Since I've got good access here, I'm going to come under the clavicle, get into that supraspinatus a little bit. Now this is a lot of times where I feel like I have better access in a way to that upper back musculature, so I'm going to reach around. I'm going to cup into that, and it should be already pretty well warmed up, so we can go pretty deep because we started on the back side. So I'm just going to hang off that a little bit. Take Jet's arm across here, and now I'm going to start to lift him up, and it is his job to again let himself just be heavy. This is going to allow me to get right in here. Well, get some of that posterior musculature and oblique musculature here. Posterior and anterior deltoids. And again, I'm going to support his arm here as I get into this arm massage. Going to lubricate up just a touch. So again, he never feels like I'm not supporting him. through here. Most of these muscles that are in your forearm, and which are the ones that articulate your fingers mostly and your wrist, actually don't go straight down. You can actually see that they kind of twist and turn so that you can pronate and supinate your forearm. Get into the hand, get into this. Now I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh well. There's a little adductor here for your thumb. That's an area where we can tend to feel a little bit. This is your little abductor here. Tight. Okay, on both sides here. Now because I'm so looped up, it's hard to get a good grip on these fingers, so what I'm doing is I'm actually curling into that to get that elongation here. This is the better way if you do crack your knuckles to do it, instead of compressing the joint, where you can wear down the cartilage in between the joints. You can realign that joint much better through slight traction than you can through compression. Now I find when I look at the pec that it's best to move the fibers this way rather than this way. If you go this way, you'll actually feel them start to knot up and bunch up. So we actually find that they release better moving away from the sternum and outward. Now, your clavicle, under your clavicle here, you've got a little protrusion that comes from your scapula that sticks through between your clavicle and your rib cage, and it goes here and it anchors down to here. So again, when we're trying to think about how do we best release upper cross syndrome or rounded shoulders, we want to get in here into the pec minor. And since it's kind of a deeper muscle, we kind of just want to go in there and hold a little bit. We can elongate and it goes straight down from that point. Again, reaching around, and I'm hanging off this musculature. He's just being a little corpse for me, and that's great. Nice and heavy. And again, since I'm going to move this arm, I want him to feel supported as I do so. I don't want to just flop him over. And I'm going to reach around, going around the scapula here a little bit. Anterior and posterior deltoids. And kind of corkscrewing through here. Adductor pollicis, that's this muscle right here. I knew I'd remember it. following now, because it says right pec, counterclockwise from the sternum, so I don't bunch up those muscles, riding close to the clavicle a little bit. I'm going straight down right into this pec minor. Mostly focusing on the obliques here and the posterior obliques. We're getting into these anteriors just a little bit. Some people find abdominal massage to be a little bit on the weird side. That doesn't mean that they won't benefit from it, just not everybody likes it. Jet finds it weird, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on it.
Never say it's weird.
Huh?
Never say it's weird.
Fine. He's actually bracing against me. He's not relaxing and letting it happen. Now again, getting that kind of TFL, well, it's a little bit high for TFL, but that origin of the glute there a little bit. Get a little bit deeper than we did before. We're gonna get kicked off of YouTube if that towel falls off. And again, that kind of iliacus, if you're trying to get into the psoas, it'll be right around here. You'll generally find it by lifting the leg up and engaging that psoas muscle. Alright. So, in order to protect Jet's knees, I'm going to pass this foam roller underneath here so that we don't tend to go into hyperextension. Again, that TFL tends to be a bit of a bugger here. So you can see kind of where the, because this would be the sartorius here and the rectus femoris kind of start. Right around here would actually be where that TFL will be. And that TFL has a tendency to cause internal rotation of the femur because it pulls onto the iliotibial band and causes that internal rotation. I'm going to go like this, go like this, and then we will stay relatively modest here. complex. So since I mentioned before, Jay has a tendency on a squat to turn out his feet, and he mentioned that his pinky toe has a tendency to come up, which generally means that you might actually have tight adductors a little bit. So that I don't really think that's the case in this case, because what will generally happen is that your knees will collapse inward. Now there was a little bit of that on the low end of his squat when he re-engaged and started to stand back up, so there could be some overactivity in here. But it wasn't the primary observation. And in fact, I'm kind of feeling like a lot of tightness right up here tight, up high, so I think. So I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to hold on this position to kind of loosen that up a bit. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stimulate what's called the Gogli tendon organ, which responds to changes in pressure. It usually takes about 30 seconds. So when you guys are foam rolling and you're going super fast on that, you're actually being counterproductive. We want to make sure that we're going slow when we have this type of tightness to try to get the muscle to relax. It's a little better. If we were doing this tomorrow, Jen might be a lot more yelpy because he did legs today. Go like this. Let's do this way. He's a little bit sore in that quad. So maybe I should warm him up a little bit more. Especially around that vastus lateralis, I can feel that it's a little bit more swollen here. Because I am going a little bit deep right now, you see that my pace is very slow. I want him to be able to respond to that. So this technique is just one that I tend to do. I'm bracing against my hip bone to create that tension so it's coming from my body. Saw that his leg kind of straightened there? So I backed off a little bit on the pressure before I continued. Right in here. I'm trying to avoid this spot right here. That's where there's that bruise. Now there's not a lot of adductor. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing here. I definitely want to be lubricated for this kind of high inner thigh area because the skin tends to be very thin there, and you don't want to give them that kind of paper tearing kind of sensation there. Like, it's really not pleasant. So lubrication, definitely, especially in this high inguinal area. I can actually feel that this adductor is not nearly as tight as the other side. Just kind of found a tight spot, and I could feel that the muscle was releasing underneath my fingers, so I just sat there and let it. So yeah, your primary anterior muscles here are going to be this anterior tibialis. That's pretty much it. But as I mentioned before, Jet has pretty tight calves, so I can come up to the top of the anterior tibialis, grab, and pull down. So again, just like what I did with the upper body, I can actually use the anterior position to get more leverage on the posterior position. And you see that he's having a lot of fun with that, and there's way too much oil here. So we'll just move that to the other leg. Now the anterior tibialis comes right along here, crosses at the ankle, and inserts here on the medial side. If somebody is having feet flattening, which Jet has mentioned, that anterior tibialis actually lifts up on this medial side. So if you're having that foot flattening, you want to strengthen this muscle and get it more engaged. However, foot flattening is also associated with this tight perineal longus right along the side here, which inserts down here on the outside here. So if you're having those issues, that's the muscle that you want to kind of relax there.
Oh.
And there we are. How you feeling?
Good.